Hey guys! So, I had kind of a crazy weekend. I literally almost died. I don't know about you guys, but I really like to go camping. I like to go outside and sleep in a tent and eat the hot dogs on a fire and all that stuff. And oh, and s'mores. Man, s'mores are delicious. And, well, I like to go with my dad and my brother, and we've got a scout troop that we go with. And we go out and we have a good time. But this last time we went camping was crazy. Okay, it was kind of awesome, but it was crazy. Because, see, it was raining really, really hard outside. So the rain was just pouring down, and it was raining even before we got there. So everything was all muddy, and so we're just like splash, splash, splash everywhere you go. And we were setting up the tents, and the tents, when we put the stakes in, usually you gotta like hammer the stakes in with a hammer so that they go down into the ground. But everything was so muddy that the tent stakes just went like squish right down into the ground when you put down the stakes. And so that was supposed to keep, your tent from blowing away. At the end of the day, I went into my tent and I closed it. And by that time, the rain, instead of falling down like this, it was falling like sideways, which was pretty crazy. And so the rain's coming down and it's blowing on the tent. And I crawl into the tent and I crawl into my sleeping bag, and my tent all around me is like. But I tried to snuggle into my sleeping bag and I'm just starting to go to sleep. And I hear this loud pop. And I look up. I'm like, what was that? Oh, well. And I go back to sleep, and then pop! I'm looking around. What is that sound? And I hear pop, pop! And just as I realized what it was, the tent that I was sleeping in fell right down on my head. It was the tent stakes popping up out of the ground. And so my tent just fell apart, but I was inside the tent, so it's like down on top of me, and the wind is still blowing, and it's all just like. And it's blowing me around all over the place. I thought that the wind had just picked me up into the sky and that I was going to go to like the Wizard of Oz or something. I thought I was flying up in the air, and I thought I thought that was the end of me. I thought I was going down, man. But I finally, I got through the tent and I got to the zipper and I opened it up, and I was still on the ground, but I was just kind of rolling around in my sleeping bag and in my tent, and it was pretty crazy, but I was safe. I was wet and muddy by the time I got out of there, but I was safe. And so we got out of the tent and my dad came over to help, and we staked it back down. But then, before I could get back into the tent, something else happened. Because, see, there was the rain, and we could hear the rain, going all over the place. But then we could hear this other sound in the rain, and it was like, and that sound was the tornado siren. That means that there was a tornado touching down somewhere nearby. Usually when there's a tornado, you go down to the basement, but we didn't have a basement. We had tents. But my dad, he knew just what to do, so we got our sleeping bags as fast as we could. We left the other stuff there, but we grabbed our sleeping bags and we jumped into the car, and then we drove I don't know, it wasn't that far. It was really close. It was still in the park that we were camping in, but there was like this ranger's house kind of thing. So we went in there, and there were a couple other people that were camping, silly people like us who were camping, and the park ranger who lives there all the time, and we all went down into the basement, and we huddled down there, and we could hear the wind, and it's like. And then we could start hearing some crashing and some other loud noises, and we're down there, and it was kind of cool. It was super scary, but it was kind of cool being down there. And so we got a little bit of sleep that night, but then the next day we woke up and we went outside, and the trees everywhere. There were all kinds of trees that were busted down, and there was branches all over the place. And we went back to our campsite, and we were missing a couple tents because they just got blown away who knows where. And I think there might have even been an actual tornado that landed there. If we'd been sleeping in those tents, who knows what would have happened to us? We would have been, gone for real. And here's the reason why we were safe, though, is because instead of being in a tent that was just sitting on top of the mud and the stakes didn't go down deep, we were in this house, and we were down in the basement when it had a firm foundation. It was all concrete, and we were underground, and we were super safe. And our lives are kind of like the tent and the house. Okay? So in the Bible, it talks about there's two types of people. There's people who are wise, that's like smart, and then there are people who are foolish, which is kind of like not so smart. And the wise people, they build their house on the rock. Okay, they build their house on a rock or on like concrete so that it's firm and strong, so that when the rain comes, it doesn't knock down the house. That house that we stayed in at the campsite, we were safe because it had a firm foundation. But the foolish people, they build their house on the sand. That's what it says in the Bible. The foolish man builds his house on the sand. So when the rain comes, his house just, tips over and blows away. And then the rain comes and it just knocks it over because it didn't have a firm foundation. What the Bible is actually talking about is what you build your life on. Okay, what's the most important thing in your life? Is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it your house with all your stuff? Is it getting good grades in school? What's the thing that is most important to you? What's the thing that you base your whole life around? There's all kinds of things that people build their lives on. But you know what? If you base your whole life around any of these things, even important things like your family, that's really important. That's a big part of our life. But if that's the most important thing in your life, when the hard times come, when bad things happen, then everything that you've built and everything in your life is going to come crashing down, as if you had built your house on the sand. The only way to build the house of your life on the rock so that your life is firm and strong is to build your life on Jesus Christ. Because there is nothing and no one who is as big and powerful and strong and loving as God. Yeah, so if we build our lives around God, when bad things happen and we've got our life planted in Jesus Christ, we can stand firm. We can be like that house that got all beat up by all the branches and all the wind and all the rain and maybe even a tornado. We can be strong in Jesus Christ. Now, that other stuff, like your friends and your family and school, that's all important stuff. It's good stuff to have in your life, but we need to base our whole lives, our hope and our dreams in Jesus Christ. So how do you build your life on the firm foundation that is Jesus? Well, first of all, you need to give your life to God. You need to give your life to Jesus. You need to ask Jesus into your heart. And that's the most important thing you can ever do in your whole life. And so if that's something that you're interested in, please talk to, maybe your Sunday school teacher or your parents or, your grandparents, somebody that you know that is already built their life on Jesus Christ. Talk to them and ask them, and I know that they would love to talk you through that and to walk you through that and to help lead you to Jesus. So that's the first step. And then after that is you live for God. You live the way that God would want you to live, and you put your hope and your trust in Him. If we put our hope and our trust in school or in sports or even in our friends or family, those things, they'll let us down. Which is it's a sad truth. Even our parents, they love us and they try their best, but sometimes they're going to let us down. But God will never, ever let us down. If we build our lives in Him, then we'll be able to stand strong when the troubles come. So that's my challenge to you guys today, is that you guys would build your lives on the firm foundation that is Jesus Christ. So that when the storms come and bad things happen in your life, you will still be able to live the awesome life that God has planned for you. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you click the like button, or if you make a comment in the comment section, well then YouTube, when it looks at that, it's like, oh hey, people like this stuff. We should send it to more people. So it's like if you put a little like in there, it's like you're saying, I want someone else to watch this video. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And you can leave a comment in the bottom there because all that helps to spread this even further. And I want to be able to tell as many people as possible about the love of God. And I want more and more people to build their life on the firm foundation of Jesus. And you guys are a huge part of that. So thank you.